This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me today. This is our sixth interview in the new Membership Spotlight series that the Maryland Chamber of Commerce launched in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. My name is Whitney Harmel, and I am the Vice President of Membership and Development for the Maryland Chamber of Commerce and the Maryland Chamber Foundation. I am so pleased today to be speaking with Gary Antonino. Gary is the Chief Business Development Officer of the Herbert J. Hoelter Vocational Training Center. Gary, thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it. Can you just start by telling our listeners, of course, more about you and your role at NCIA and the actual Vocational Training Center?
Sure. Good afternoon, Whitney, and thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here. So, as you said, I work for NCIA, which stands for the National Center on Institutions and Alternatives, and I'm the Chief Business Development Officer. I joined NCIA back in 2012 in a role to work very close with our co-founder and CEO, Herb Hoelter, in continuing to grow different programs within the organization.
Excellent. So can you give everyone a little bit of background information about what NCIA does? I know about your program. I know about the incredible work of the organization, but can you talk a little bit more about when it was established and just a little bit of that history, if you would?
Sure. So NCIA was established in 1977. So we're celebrating our 43rd anniversary. It was founded by Dr. Jerry Miller and Herb Hoelter, who is our current CEO and co-founder. In fact, our vocational training center is named after Herb. It's the NCIA Herbert J. Hoelter Vocational Training Center. Something I'm very proud of that I'm sure we'll talk about in a few minutes. We have approximately 500 employees at the company. We're a nonprofit organization, and we have four different divisions. We operate in adults with intellectual disabilities. We have approximately 325 clients that we serve. We have a youth in transition school, which is a school for special education children between 7th and 12th grade, and we have approximately 65 students that attend our school on an annual basis. Then we have the Herbert J. Hoelter Vocational Training Center. And in addition to that, we have a criminal justice division, which Herb heads up himself. And he is probably the premier sentencing mitigation expert in the United States. So he works on a lot of cases with defense attorneys around the country in mitigating the best possible sentence when there's a crime committed. So a little bit about the Vocational Training Center that we're extremely proud of. The center was founded in September of 2017 with the idea that we wanted to come into the city. Our corporate campus is located in Baltimore County. But after the Freddie Gray tragedy happened, I really wanted to do something within the city, and I presented a plan to Herb to come in and work with those that are far less fortunate than most of us. And the center is designed to serve a few different populations, that of the homeless veteran population, men and women returning home from conflict, that are down on their luck, homeless, the reentry population, men and women that are coming home from returning home from state or federal incarceration, and individuals that are just down on their luck and looking for an opportunity to grow and get into some type of a vocational training program that would then morph into them becoming gainfully employed. And as you can see from this chart, we've enrolled approximately 782 individuals. Our graduation rate is about 71%, something that I'm extremely proud of. We just tipped over the $19 per hour average wage. So when you look at the individuals that were graduating, they're graduating with industry recognized certifications. It's a very fast moving program, but a major part of the program is making sure that they not only come through the program and receive an industry recognized certification, but that we do have gainful employment opportunities available for them.
When I first met you 2 years ago, you guys were describing these programs to me, and the Chamber Foundation was at that point getting ready to get more deep into the need for some reform in this area, and we formed our Second Chance Task Force, which I know that you've recently been involved in, and so to have your organization's voice on that task force and to be able to talk about the data and to share what you're doing in this population, I think is really important. And I take a look at this and I see some of the vocational tracks of automotive, CDL, and HVAC. And as you know, especially over the past, I'd say, few years, these are areas that have really been lacking in the workforce. And so your training program is at the forefront of that. Can you talk to us about some of the partnerships that the organization has formed, from soup to nuts across the state of Maryland?
Sure. So one of the things we did a lot of research early on when we looked at the vocational training tracks that we wanted to offer. But we've been blessed in the state of Maryland to partner with some unbelievable organizations. Those being the Department of Labor Licensing Regulation. We're an earned grant recipient, so we work very closely with DLLR and bring a number of students through on a yearly basis. One of the most interesting projects that we've worked on recently with the Earned program was we did a pilot program for opioid addiction for individuals that were addicted to opioid and were in recovery, or family members that were affected by the opioid epidemic. And we did a great pilot program. I think we brought 15 individuals through. We had great success with it, which morphed into an additional program. And I think that hopefully that pilot will span out in this new year for having a lot of organizations work with that population. We are a partner with the Department of Human Services. We work with their SNAP recipients. So anyone that's receiving SNAP benefits in the state of Maryland has an opportunity to join our program, and it's a full scholarship for them. So they can come into the program with the hope that we can bring them through, get them certified in whatever track they choose, and get them gainfully employed. We are also working with the United Way. We do a lot of work with training individuals in vocational tracks with United Way, with the Family League of Baltimore, also the Mayor's Office of Employment. We work very closely with the Mayor's Office. So we're really proud of our partnerships. And as you know, this doesn't happen without a group of people working together for the end result of gainful employment. So we have some fantastic partners throughout the state of Maryland.
And what about the businesses who would potentially employ someone that's
Very,
gone through the training program?
Yes, very proud. One of the things early on that I mentioned earlier is that we got employers involved in the very early process in helping them work directly with us with curriculum and saying, what are you looking for an entry level position? So, for example, Coons Automotive is an organization that many of our auto individuals go through with regards to our CDLB drivers. There is such a huge need in the state of Maryland for CDLB drivers, those who drive school buses, dump trucks. So we work very closely with many of the providers that provide the busing for a lot of the schools. We work very close with a lot of construction companies that are looking for dump truck drivers to drive. So the AutoZones of the world, the Jiffy Lubes, the Midas Mufflers of the world, we work very close with them. So we have right now about 80 to 90 employers that we work very close with in all the placement process as they come through our Workforce Development Institute.
That's great. I did not realize that it was that high, but I think it's that's incredible that there's almost 100 employers out there who are ready, willing, and able to take people that have gone through your training program. Let's shift gears just a little bit, Gary, and I want to talk about the actual training programs. And I have pictures here of two, one including the HVAC training program and the other being the automotive. Can you do just a deeper dive on some of the training programs that you offer? And let's talk about how people can get more involved. And let's talk about it from a business standpoint. Who are you putting through your program? And then what kind of businesses would you like to see get more involved?
Sure. So the individuals that come through our program, again, uh, mainly the populations that we serve are the homeless veteran population or the reentry population, and a lot of individuals coming through our SNAP partnership with the Department of Human Services. So, in addition to HVAC and automotive, we have a CDL Class B licensing, which with a CDL Class B license, you're able to operate school buses, dump trucks, large box trucks. We also have a culinary program, which is a fantastic program that you come through, which enables you to go to work in a lot of the hospitality areas that are in and around Baltimore and the state of Maryland. And also, our most recent program is a drone program where we bring individuals through training and get them FAA certified to be certified and licensed to fly drones, which is an industry that's just going to explode within the next couple of years. These programs were very well thought out and designed because the worst thing that you want to do with the reentry population is bring them through a training program and find out that you can't get them employed at the end. So all five of these programs, that these tracks that they go through, have opportunities for gainful employment at the end, and that's where the 80 to 90 partnerships with all of the employers come in. So I'm always looking. One of the biggest and most important functions that we have at the center is looking for employers to get involved with us and say to us, this is the profile, this is what I'm looking for in the end result for someone to walk into a Goodyear or a Midas muffler, or to drive a bus for my company, or to fly a drone for my real estate company or for my engineering company. So we are always looking to forge those relationships and then tailor our curriculum. We're very purposeful in tailoring curriculum to meet the needs of the employers. The other element that plays a very important role is our Workforce Development Institute. So as they're coming through their 15 weeks of hands-on training and classroom training, we're also going through a Workforce Development Institute that's removing barriers for them as they go through the process. And removing those barriers are critical because it's just not as simple as getting someone a recognized certification and shaking hands and saying goodbye. That's not what we do. We get them through the industry recognized certification, but as they're coming through workforce development, our goal is to get them employed. We want to make sure that our people are getting employed at livable wages prior to or shortly after graduation. So there's a lot that goes into that, but it's part of the program that we're very, very proud of. And then there's the follow up to that. You've got to stay in touch with individuals because adversity is going to face them next week, next month, and they've got to learn how to deal with that adversity. And that's where we come in.
So you brought up a good point about a 15-week vocational training. And as you know, we're all living in the world completely changed, or in the past couple of months, and I'd say in the United States in the past 60 plus days. How have you all shifted your training programs to be more virtual, and how is that working out?
Well, it's been a great challenge. As we all know, our life is all of our lives have changed drastically in the last 8, 9 weeks. But I often tell this to my staff: the great moments are the work of many people, and we've got just an incredible staff of individuals. So we shifted very early on to a virtual training model. And the first thing we did was, and if you can imagine our population, we're serving a lot of individuals that are down on their luck and they can't afford to go out and purchase a smartphone, or they can't afford to go out and purchase a tablet. So we outfitted all of our students. Uh, the interesting thing about the cohort, that we had a cohort start right as the epidemic was hitting, or the pandemic, I should say, was hitting. So we had 146 individuals that were just starting their training. So we immediately outfitted every one of them with smartphones, with data, with tablets, with data. We moved to a Moodle training platform. So an average day for a student right now is they log on and the class starts at 9 o'clock in the morning for all five tracks. They log on to their Moodle platform. We also have a WebEx going. And so we've shifted totally to virtual training. And we've also added in just a contact campaign where we have a certain amount of individuals assigned to a certain um, individual at our center, which we are able to work with them individually with their homework in the evening. So it's all hands on deck. So we're working directly with them to make sure that they're getting all the training they need. We went out and we bought a platform with some simulators so they can feel as though if they're in the CDL program that they're actually on a simulator on their iPad, getting themselves familiar uh, with all the dashboards of the vehicle and everything that takes place in the vehicle. So we've gone to a total distance learning, but through all of the platforms that are available. And I'm happy and really excited to say that our attendance rate on a daily basis is running at about 94%. So
Wow.
94% of the people are attending class every day. But that's a tribute to us adjusting to the climate that we're in, but also having those touch points on a daily basis. My staff is incredible. They work around the clock with our individuals, and it's really made the difference.
Well, you led me right into my next question, which is to talk about the staff. And I don't think any of this would be possible without the people who are dedicated to those that are in your program. So tell me how those people have shifted. Tell me how they're doing. Is everyone working from home? Just give us some more details about your team.
Sure. So we all are working remotely from home. We have one of the individuals, two of our instructors go into the shop because the center is so large that they're able to go into to each one of their areas and work out of a computer-based WebEx when they're doing what we used to call hands-on training. But the staff is, we have 9 o'clock in the morning, the day starts where we're on the morning class. And then 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that session begins. But it's all hands on deck. We've got 5 vocational programs running at 9 in the morning that are on 5 different WebExes. We've got everyone's equipped with tablets. So our staff has really risen to the occasion. They have also put in place an incentive plan that individuals that are attending class every day are receiving an incentive. We, as a group, as a leadership group, we have an 11:30 touch point each day when my senior leaders are all on the phone, just recapping the morning lessons learned. What can we do different? What do we need to do different? And then we have a 5:30 call that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and our CEO and co-founder Herb Hoelter, who's just an unbelievable human being that has been serving individuals that are far less fortunate than us for 43 years. He is on those 5:30 calls with us, just adding, inspiration to us and coming up with ideas that we can put forward as lessons learned, and we continue to work through these difficult times.
Yeah, my CEO just sent an article about innovating and the importance of making sure that we continue to innovate, even though we are not together physically as a team. And so it sounds like your team is doing exactly that, and hopefully everyone's staying in good spirits and connecting when they can. But it sounds like it's full steam ahead at the Vocational Training Center. Although I'm sure people look forward to being back together
Sure,
again. Yeah,
sure.
so let's talk a little bit about where people can get more information. I always like to provide the website and the social media links. I encourage people, businesses, those in need, or if you know someone who might be interested in going through this program, follow up and see, exactly what's being posted and shared out there in social media. There's some really great resources that you guys are providing, and I think there's a nice opportunity for people to continue to get to know your organization and what you're all about through these different channels. And I'm sure, Gary, they could also reach out to you if they wanted some more information. So we can always make that happen if someone would like to get in touch with you, I'm sure.
Sure. As you can see, our website was on the screen that you showed, but We are constantly looking to serve more individuals. Our mission is really clear. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. And at the end of the day, as I told you earlier, our operation is growing. We're opening up in a couple other states, but the mission is extremely clear for us to serve as many individuals as we can, because if you really want to change a person's life, you get them a job, a living wage, a job where they're making 18, 20, $25 an hour. We feel that's the way you can really begin to help these individuals and change their lives.
Absolutely. And I love to end these conversations with hearing from my guest about what they think will be something positive that comes out of all of this chaos. And so I'd love to hear in your words what you believe will come out of this.
Well, I think there's a number of things positive that come out of this. And, I said this the other day to someone that, first of all, we know the pandemic is going to end. We just don't know when, but it is going to end. But the positive things for us, we've learned that there's always going to be adversity, and you have to find ways to get through it and push through. And our staff has been tremendous. But one of the things that we've also learned is that in the reentry world, individuals are returning home. And as we both know, they don't have 6 months or a year to start to get money in their pocket or start to earn an income, because they have a number of challenges that face them. So currently, I am working with many of the jails and talking to a lot of the judges that we have relationships with in the area about taking our virtual learning platform and bringing it into the institutions. And an individual that's 4 months or 5 months away from release, this will be an opportunity for us to install the textbook learning and get them through that. So when they are released, instead of being 15 weeks away from gainful employment, maybe they're only 6 weeks away. And that can change a lot of individuals' lives, and it can also help our recidivism rate, as the country has not been able to do a great job in lowering that. So we feel that's a way that we can really impact the system and having people get employed earlier and get back on their feet.
I think that's an incredible message to end on. And I have seen the work just in knowing you and your organization for the past few years, and the Herbert J. Hoelter Vocational Training Center is changing lives. And so thank you so much for taking the time to join me today, Gary, and for telling the story. And I would just say, if anyone is interested in getting in touch with you, I'm sure they can do so directly through the website, or they can reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to connect them. So thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Whitney, and thank you for everything that your chamber does. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who is listening. I will be bringing you another interview in the next 2 weeks with a Maryland business or nonprofit who is leading the way through this COVID-19 crisis. And of course, I would continue to encourage all of you to check out the resources that the Maryland Chamber is providing to our businesses. We are revamping our COVID-19 resources page this week, as there is just so much information that is available, and we want to make sure that it is easy to access. So I wish everyone who is listening continued good health and a great day. I'll talk to you soon.